पियो बात मारौँ आज हामी दुई गफ गफ गरौँ. Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Sex Lives of Kathmandu Girls. Finally losing my virginity.
Finally losing your virginity.
Yes. My name is Dawa Didi and with me today is your Pinadu.
John.
Hi John, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing quite well as well, and I'm looking forward to having this conversation.
You're looking forward to finally losing your virginity?
In the chronology of the stories, yes. I'm looking forward to getting to that part of the story.
Yeah.
So, if you have listened to the first two episodes, you may know that the first episode was about my very first relationship with someone we dubbed Finance Bro, and how we attempted to have sex, but it didn't quite work out because of a combination of a lack of experience and, other issues. Go and listen to that episode if you haven't. So, in the second episode, I delved into the intricacies of my relationship with Finance Bro. I talked about, I suppose, the trauma that I experienced during that relationship. A lot of people tend to not take emotional abuse quite as seriously, including me, to be honest. As I was talking to you about, I instinctually hesitated to call my experience in that relationship abusive or traumatic.
Yeah.
But it was, truth be told. Yeah. It was traumatic for me. And it was quite formative. It was my very first relationship. And it affected for a very long time how I saw myself and how I approached romantic relationships that I had in the future.
And first cut is the deepest.
Yeah. So anyway, the story of how I lost my virginity begins with my breakup with Finance Bro. By the way, I promise this is the last time that I'm going to be talking about Finance Bro. I feel like in the last the last two episodes and a little bit in this one, I have basically dragged Finance Bro through the mud. If you're listening, look, I promise you I have no hard feelings. I know it doesn't sound like I don't have any hard feelings given the fact that I've talked so much about you, but I genuinely mean this. I'm only revisiting this in the context of this podcast to try to say something, basically.
This is the end of the Finance Bro trilogy.
Yeah,
sad as it is. Yeah,
I am really sorry that our first relationship turned out to be such a good example of the kind of relationship you don't want to get into, basically.
Well, I think that's probably quite common with first relationships.
Yeah. Finance Bro, I hope you're happy. I hope you're healthy. No hard feelings, but quite a lot of good lessons learned. So, as you know, John, my relationship with Finance Bro lasted about 6 to 7 months, and it was quite bad towards the end.
Yeah.
Towards the end, I mean the latter half, pretty much. The first half was lovely, was beautiful. The second half, he started pulling away from me. He would ask me to meet him and make me wait for hours. He would not text me as often. He clearly didn't seem to enjoy hanging out with me. And just to be clear, I'm not trying to say here that falling out of love is something wrong. It can happen. I understand that sometimes you get into a relationship and the spark just sort of fades away. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with dating someone because you were drawn to them and then realizing as time goes on that you don't really have the same feelings for them anymore.
People change.
Yeah, sometimes things just don't work out, right? What is not right, though, is stringing them along. As long as he strung me along. He strung me along. And also, not communicating clearly when things changed, which he didn't. Especially when the other person was all in like I was.
Yeah.
Because I was madly in love with this guy. I understand that it's a really difficult thing to do, to sit someone down and to tell them, look, I'm really sorry, the relationship's not working. We need to, go our separate ways. I get it. It is difficult. It is painful. But it is not as painful as what you would put the other person through if you're just stringing them along. And it's definitely not a kind thing to do.
And, sometimes it's better to just rip the Band-Aid off, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Well, sometimes it is usually bad.
Yes. Communication is always a good thing.
Yeah, it's never not a good thing.
Just to be clear, communication in a kind and empathetic way is always a good thing.
Yeah,
I also just want to add, I'm not trying to say, as long as you're like, I'm just telling the truth.
I'm just being honest.
Just being honest does not mean you have the license to be mean and rude to other people. There's always room for empathy and kindness in honesty. This coldness from the Finance Bro was going on for several months, and it was basically torture for me. I was at my wit's end. I didn't know what to do. So one day I was home, it was a weekend, and I decided to confront him. And I did that over text, over WhatsApp. I said, look, you've been acting very cold towards me. I'm not blind. So what's going on? What is it? Right? And at first, he insisted that nothing was wrong.
Yeah.
He pretended that he didn't know what I was talking about. I said, at that point, I was like, look, I know this is not true. Cut the bullshit. There's clearly something else going on between us.
Yeah.
So is it that you don't want to be in a relationship with me anymore? If that is the case, just tell me, rather than keeping me in this limbo that you have. So that's what I told him.
Yeah.
And then he finally said, actually, yeah, he does want to break up with me. And in fact, he's been wanting to break up with me for months.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah. And as you can imagine, that was quite hurtful.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was. And I was quite hurt, but also my first question was, so why didn't you break up if you've been feeling like this for months? What have you been waiting for? And then he tells me, well, the reason he hasn't broken up with me yet is because we go to the same university and he was waiting for him to graduate. So if you remember, he was about 2 or 3 years older than me, so he was going to graduate earlier. And he was saying basically he felt like it would be too awkward to see me at university after we were broken up, so he just decided he's going to wait till he graduates and he knows that he's not going to see me around anymore.
Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just easier to it's easier for him to just let it be and basically ghost you in real life.
Yeah, and as you can imagine, that pissed me off. Because he was also not graduating for a few more months, by the way. It wasn't like he was graduating next week or even next month. It was a few more months still. And he was basically planning on dragging on the relationship for as long as it was convenient and comfortable for him.
Yeah. God.
And it wasn't even like, I don't think he was unaware of how much I was hurting. Because while he might have been bad at communication, I was not. I would constantly tell him, look, I don't like that you're doing this. I don't appreciate that you're doing this. I'm hurt. I'm upset. I'm crying. I'm in pain. So he knew what was going on. And yet, his instinct was basically to prioritize his own comfort.
Yeah.
That is how my first serious relationship ended.
Well, it seems very, in a way, anticlimactic, I guess.
I suppose.
It's like, it was like a slow decline and then a bit of a very sad fizzle.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine at the time it didn't feel like a fizzle, to be fair.
No, it didn't feel like a fizzle. I remember I was sitting outside in the garden in my parents' home, and I was fighting tears.
Yeah.
It was a very bright day, I remember, and I was fighting tears, but I think I was not doing that very successfully. The reason that I was fighting tears was because obviously my parents didn't know that I was in a relationship.
Ah, shit.
So I couldn't let them know. I couldn't suddenly be really sad.
You couldn't get emotional support from them?
Yeah, I couldn't express my feelings, my emotions. So I was just there. And I remember, actually, my parents had a domestic help.
Yeah.
And she was out in the garden doing something or the other. And she could see that I was trying hard not to cry.
Yeah.
And she was just standing a little bit of a distance away from me. She was just looking over, not knowing whether or not to come over. To be honest, if she had come over to say something to me, I think I might have just been...
Just told her everything.
No, I would definitely not have told her anything.
No, fair enough.
John, I would not have done that. I would have just been like, oh, it's nothing, don't worry. Oh, I just got something in my eyes. I think she knew that I would not have been honest with her. Which is why she didn't really bother coming over to ask me what was going on.
I mean, it sounds a lot. That sounds a lot like what is it? The archetypal way that men like are supposed to show their their feelings to one another. Like you see often in like TV shows where it's like one just standing there being like, and then the others are kind of being like, you know, they're just like, yeah, I'll put a beer in front of you, to show, you know, give a pat on the back, you know, to show that I'm really good with you. But
yeah, well, in my family, men and women alike had toxic masculine traits. Yeah. It was just a family that I had. I'm not going to say that is a universal case with everyone in Nepal. I know a lot of people who are far more emotionally intelligent, emotionally intelligent, and had such family members. I just happen to be not, from that sort of family.
Yeah.
So anyway, after my relationship ended, I was heartbroken, and I did something I'm not the most proud of.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying earlier, during the latter half of my relationship with Finance Bro, he was pulling away from me. Not only, mentally and emotionally, but also physically. Yeah. So, early on in a relationship, he was always all over me. He was always telling me how pretty he thought I was, how hot he found me. And I liked that, I liked feeling desirable. I liked feeling attractive and hot.
As everyone does.
Yeah. But after some time, he wasn't doing that anymore. In fact, when I would try to caress him, he would say, "Oh, you're tickling me. Stop." For example.
That's okay.
He would laugh it off, basically. I would ask him, "What's wrong? Why don't you want, you're not attracted to me anymore?" And he would say, "No, that's not the case. I'm just not feeling it right now." Which, of course, sometimes you're just not feeling it, but it was going on for months. So towards the end of our relationship, and after our relationship ended, I felt not only deeply heartbroken, but also ugly. I was feeling unattractive,
Unwanted.
unlovable even.
Yeah.
So I did something stupid. I started sexting this random guy online.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah, so this was a guy I knew. I used to go to A-levels college with this guy.
Yeah.
And the reason that I started texting him was because I knew that he wanted to have sex with me. He hadn't ever said anything to me outright, but he'd been flirty with me a bunch of times. He would, sometimes randomly text me late at night saying, "Hey, how you doing?" The way you do.
Yeah.
And I was never really that interested in him in that particular way. I thought he was all right.
Wait, sorry. He texted you.
Yeah, he would sometimes text me late at night at like 11, 12, be like, "How are you doing?"
That's a bit late.
And another thing that made him a good candidate also was that he didn't live in Nepal at that time. So he had gone to the US for his university.
Yeah.
Which meant for me that I knew that this was never going to go beyond texting or sexting. There was no likelihood of it evolving beyond that, which was perfect for me.
Yeah, no
because
strings attached.
I just wanted a quick dopamine hit of feeling desirable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started texting. We started texting each other, and he was more than happy to reciprocate. We did that for maybe a couple of days. This was literally a day after I broke up with, my ex-boyfriend, the finance bro guy, broke up with me. Literally a day after I started texting him. And we did that for 2 days, 3 days at most. And while we were doing that, it felt great. At the moment, I got the validation I was looking for. I felt needed. I felt wanted. But obviously, it didn't last. Within a few days, I started feeling, I don't know, empty. Worse than empty. I started feeling weird.
You had like you had that sort of feeling of like having, I'm not sure, it's weird, like you do get this additional feeling on top of this grossness or something.
Yeah, like basically I felt dirty.
You feel dirty. Because you have like this sort of, I don't know, horniness or this desire,
loneliness
or whatever.
masked.
Yeah, it was like masks all the feelings of like this isn't necessarily the right thing to do or the best thing to do, and then once it goes away, it just leaves you with those feelings.
Yeah.
And they're even worse because you actually went through with it.
Yeah. I felt, I don't know, like I said, I was feeling dirty. I was asking myself, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is so stupid. So, I mean, I could have dealt with this, I could have ended it with empathy and kindness as well, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I just ghosted him. I did talk to him years later. We did interact, and it wasn't a platonic way. We just sort of caught up, and it was quite nice. He didn't seem to be annoyed at me or holding any grudge or anything like that, so that was good.
Yeah, he has nothing but happy memories from that time.
I don't know. So anyway, after that, I was heartbroken for several months, just heartbroken. And let me tell you, I'm sure that my friends hated me during that time.
Yeah.
I was horrible company. So every time we were hanging out, again, we were at university, and our favorite pastime was smoking weed, getting high. That's it. That's all we really did. And listening to music.
Did you have ice cream as well with the weed?
No, not really. Not ice cream so much. Sometimes.
Sometimes, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that was our favorite pastime. We'd listen to music, we'd watch funny videos, we'd giggle to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But now, at this point, I was depressed. So what I wanted to listen to was depressing as fuck songs. Again and again. I would listen to the same songs again and again and again. I would play Leonard Cohen, Damien Rice, just some of the most depressing songs that you can imagine.
Yeah.
And my friends hated it. They were being really nice and understanding, I have to say, because they tolerated me for much longer than I would have tolerated myself.
Yeah.
But anyway, imagine you're as high as a kite, and this depressed friend of yours keeps playing the song, "It's 4 a.m, the end of December. I'm writing to you now just to see if you're better." So basically this song, it's the famous Blue Raincoat by Leonard Cohen, and other songs that I was just playing on and on and on as I was moping about. Also, the funny thing was, I think you might remember, if the audience, this is your very first episode, just so you know, Finance Bro and I had common friends.
Yeah.
Basically, early in our relationship, Finance Bro used to make sure that I was hanging out with him and his friends all the time, and by the end of the relationship, his friends had become my friends, so we would hang out together.
Yeah.
And even after we had broken up, we would all be hanging out together quite often, right? And actually, even though Finance Bro was the one who broke up with me, he was also feeling the breakup blues.
Yeah.
So basically what would happen is we would take turns playing really sad songs in this group of friends while we were all high.
So you're hanging out in a group of friends with your ex.
Yeah.
And you are both taking turns playing breakup songs.
Yeah. So I would play Leonard Cohen, Damien Rice.
And then you pass the blunt to him and he plays a different
and
sad song.
He would play, do I wanna know if she's feeling blah, blah, blah.
What the hell?
Yeah. So can you imagine how
This is
much our
such a
friends
weird
hated us?
situation.
I know. Can you imagine how much our friends hated us at that time?
Oh my god, you guys really should have just stayed apart.
Yeah, we should have. We should have stayed apart.
Were you like stealing glances at each other every time
No.
like the
Oh God, no, it wasn't that bad. We were resolutely looking away from each other.
I don't know, that's better or worse.
I don't know.
See, I don't know if it's funnier
We
or
were
sadder.
resolutely staring at the ceilings,
You
being
just
melodramatic
You just
as fuck.
walk in the room, just happen to sit in a way where you're both just naturally would be looking at each other, and you're just like, you're very distinctly craning your necks just to make sure that neither of you is looking at each other. Neither of you has each other in the peripheral vision.
Yeah. It was in retrospect hilarious.
Stone faced.
Just imagine being the friend. In
Oh
that
god,
group.
yeah, no, like the frustration, like for fuck's sake, can you guys just fucking stop already?
You want to hear something even funnier? So I think this just shows how much children we were. Basically, we were just children.
Yeah.
Not so long after our breakup, because we both really wanted to show how cool we were and how cool we are with our breakup as well. We talked about throwing a breakup party.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's the most millennial thing I think of.
And we said, you know what, we should throw a breakup party. But again, neither of us can throw the party at our own respective homes because
Yeah.
our parents would
Oh my.
not let us.
You could have like said like, oh no, it's not, it's a party to celebrate us not being friends so much anymore. we didn't know, not a romantic relationship, it's a breakup of our friendship. We're having a party together to celebrate it.
Explain that to our boomer parents. And not only that, we didn't have money to throw it in a restaurant.
Oh my god.
So where did we decide to do it? But at our mutual friend's flat. And I remember we both were like, hey, we went to our mutual friend and said, hey, we want to throw a breakup party. And our mutual friend was like, shut the fuck up. We have had enough of your stupid drama.
Like,
I don't give two shits about your shit anymore. She literally said that to us.
What even is the intention of a breakup party? I would like to know.
To show how cool we are.
I think that's the least cool thing I've heard.
I
ever heard.
I know.
I normally don't give a shit about coolness, but like that's even I, the least cool of people when I was in secondary school, would look at that and think I'm too cool for that.
I know.
Like,
we
Jesus
were so
Christ.
cringe. So fucking cringe. I'm surprised I kept any of my friends after that.
Patience of saints.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, that was for a few months.
Yeah.
And also, if you remember, I'd said I was 21 or so when I was dating Finance Bro. And I was still a virgin. Because if you listen to earlier episodes again, I feel like I keep plugging the earlier episodes. You don't have to. I'm going to recap that anyway.
Hustle. You're going to make sure we hustle.
Yeah. But anyway, I was still a virgin anyway. And my 22nd birthday was fast approaching.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was desperate to make sure that I would not be a virgin at 22. So I know that it is an arbitrary number to pick, to just randomly decide, okay, 22 is my line. I'm not going to be a 22-year-old virgin, even if I'm a 21-year-old virgin. I don't think I had any intelligent or logical reason behind that, because of course, what intelligent, logical reason can you have, right?
It's like the second number that is comprised of two of the same numbers.
I don't think it was anything like that. It was
If it was
basically
21, you could say, oh, it's because it's a prime
yeah.
number.
In my head, I think it was just thinking, it's okay to be a virgin into your teens, and maybe a little bit into your 20s, but not as far as 22 because that is already inching towards the mid 20s. So that is too far.
Yeah.
So that's what I basically felt, I thought. And it was really weird given the fact that the society I lived in was very different. And as we know, virginity is made out to be such a big deal in
Yeah.
our society and all over the world, really.
It's a bit of a weird thing, to be honest, and people are kind of creepy about it, to be honest, in general.
Yeah, and for women in Nepal, I suppose all over the world, virginity is something that is revered and questioned.
Yeah.
When I say revered, I mean literally revered. In Nepal, there are certain communities that pray to goddess Kumari. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Vaguely, yeah.
So there is a goddess, a living goddess. Basically, what they do is they pick a young girl
Yeah.
from certain communities who's around 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
And she is put through a battery of tests. I am not quite familiar with what those tests specifically are, but
Yeah.
they're put through a battery of tests, and I think some of those things are that they shouldn't have a single cut in their body, they shouldn't have a single mole, any mark on their body. And then if they pass those tests, they are then declared to be the vessel of a goddess.
Yeah.
Goddess Kumari. Kumari basically means virgin in Nepali. So the virgin goddess,
Okay.
right? So the virgin goddess basically take their body as a vessel
Yeah.
and reside in that body until the time where this young girl goes through puberty and has a period,
Yeah.
right? So we literally have communities of people who worship virgin goddesses.
Well, I mean, in the West, we also have the
The Virgin Mary,
Virgin Mary.
that's right,
Like,
actually.
Jesus' birth is special because his mum was a virgin when she had him.
Yeah, so if you're a virgin, you are revered. But at the same time, the flip side of it, if you lose your virginity before your marriage, then you're ostracized from your society.
You've lost all worth.
Yeah, you've lost your worth, you've lost all honor, right? And your own family, your parents can be part of this ostracization.
Yeah.
My parents were not any different. They
Yeah.
were very, very much, I would say, obsessed with making sure that they were able to protect my virginity,
Yeah.
right? So I had a 6 p.m. curfew well into my 20s.
Yeah.
My mother used to monitor my text messages. She would read my messages on my phone. She would go through my email exchanges. Of course, I got really good at making sure to delete and clean my messages so that they were sanitized for the regular inspections that would happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, she would do that.
Very authoritarian.
Yeah, she would monitor my friendships as well, who I was friends with, not only boys, but also girls, because she wanted to make sure that I wasn't friends with girls who would encourage me to
Lose
date.
your virginity.
Well, it was never phrased as losing my virginity. It was phrased as dating, but dating was equivalent to losing virginity.
It's a slippery. It's a
Yeah.
slippery slope.
I remember also, it wasn't just my mum, obviously, it was also my father.
Yeah.
I remember also one time my dad saw a couple of girls, I think they were teenage girls, smoking.
Yeah.
And I didn't smoke, but he came home and he shouted at me. He basically threatened me. If I ever smoked, he would beat the shit out of me. And I think the reason that he was so incensed by it was that there's this weird false equivalence. If you smoke, you are out with boys. If you're smoking and out with boys, then you're having sex.
It sounds like a lot of mental gymnastics to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm sure lots of men smoke and no one's ever questioning their virtue.
But of course, men and women have different standards when it comes to virginity. There isn't a virgin god who's revered, is there?
Maybe there should be.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe there should be. I mean, it reminds me. I remember thinking this was like the height of intelligence when I was like 13-year-old and I didn't know any better. But like I remember there's lots of these things where like I remember seeing this it's a sort of joke or something, but it's like the reason that men losing their virginity is a cool thing. Well, men sleeping with lots of women is a cool thing, and women sleeping with lots of men is a bad thing, is because a key that can pick many locks is a great key, whereas a lock that gets picked by many keys is a shitty lock or something. I'm sure. I'm guessing you've heard that.
I have not heard that, no.
But you could guess. You seem to guess from like the second I said it. Pretty much.
Yeah, but it's very similar. It's a very similar metaphor to what I've heard before. I've heard about. Well, I suppose it wasn't necessarily so analogous. It was something like, oh, if you cut a strip of tape and it sticks to too many bodies, it starts losing
It's
gum.
stickiness.
It becomes stickiness. Yeah, it becomes useless.
Yeah. Which it's a lot of false equivalencies here,
Yes,
to
of
be
course,
honest. I
of
mean,
course. In general, humans are not objects.
no, they're not objects.
We're
they're
not locks and keys. We're not pieces of tape. You know?
What exactly am I unlocking when I have sex with someone? I don't understand. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any like it just makes no sense, and it's ridiculous. They're all used to just justify. They were used to justify a pre-existing bias. They're it's faux rationality. It's faux logic, isn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, anyway, my parents were very much, driven to protect my honor. They would constantly tell me that my honor was everything. If I lost my honor, and by the way, honor is code for virginity. So
Yeah.
they would say if I lost my honor, it would not only be a dishonor to myself, but it would be a dishonor to them. They would also say it would ruin my life. I would never be able to live in society. It was a lot of very doom and gloom.
Yeah.
My parents were also not above subjecting me to physical harm in order to protect my virginity.
They care more about your virginity,
Hypothetical-
your hypothetical honor than your
Physical well-being.
physical well-being. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. And also, to be fair, mental well-being, because my mental health wasn't the best.
Well, I mean, of course it would if you're getting attacked by the people
Yeah.
you're supposed to be able to trust. Yeah, I understand.
I remember this one time, I was running late from returning home from university. So basically, my curfew was 6 p.m. and it was nearly 7 p.m.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly why I was running late. I was just running late and I was really, really scared. So I had a female friend, who offered to give me a lift home on her scooter.
Yeah.
And I was on her scooter when my father called me to ask where I was. So if you're on a bike at the back on a scooter and you're on a phone, the person on the other end can generally tell that you might be on a bike because you can hear the wind whistling.
And the engine.
Yeah, the engine, the wind whistling, the traffic loud. You can tell that someone is on a bike. And he realized that I was on a bike.
Yeah.
And he assumed that I was on the bike of some guy, even though that wasn't true.
But it's
So
weirdest jump of logic to me.
yeah, basically, if I'm on the bike of some guy, then I must be having sex with this guy.
If you're on a
Or
bike,
I
you
might
must be on a
be.
bike. Well, first off, if you're on a bike, why does it necessarily mean you're on a bike with a guy?
Yeah, I think it
Where
was
does
just
that- where does
worst,
that come from?
Yeah, I think it was just that they were really worried that might be a thing. I don't think they really thought I was having sex. I think they were just really worried that would lead to sex. So when I got back home, he was ready with a massive stick, and he beat the shit out of me. He beat me so much that I couldn't move for 2 days.
Well, couldn't get up.
I couldn't get out from my bed. I was in so much pain.
Jesus
And also
Christ.
my body was covered in black and blue marks, so I couldn't go to university because I was really ashamed of the idea of people seeing me with those marks. So I remember I wore long-sleeved clothes, I wore pants, long pants and all of that to make sure that nobody could really see what was happening underneath.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Yeah. So that was my reality, and yet it was in complete contrast with what I wanted for myself. I wanted to lose my virginity before I turned 22. So I did not, as you can imagine, believe that my honor was tied to my virginity.
Yeah.
A lot of women in Nepal actually do also take in, they also drink the Kool-Aid, I suppose. They also believe that their virginity is very important, and of course they would if they are raised the way that I was raised.
Everyone around them is telling them that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they they may or may not be threatened with physical violence if they decide to
Yeah.
show anything against that, even remotely resembling that.
Yeah.
And everyone's biased against them as well.
Yeah. And in my case, I think obviously all women feel, especially if you're not asexual. If you're not asexual, you feel sexual desire, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you are raised in that environment, you either grow up thinking that part of you is evil and dark and you need to suppress that, or you grow up thinking, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I personally feel this way, so it can't be necessarily wrong. So everybody else must be wrong.
You either give into the one extreme or you go into the other
Yeah,
extreme.
you switch. You basically swing to the other extreme. In my case, obviously, when I was growing up, something I talked about again previously is that I used to watch a lot of Western media.
Yeah.
Especially in my teen years growing up. I grew up watching Friends, How I Met Your Mother, New Girl, that lot.
Yeah.
The sitcom, the American sitcom genre, where they seem so much more sexually liberated, but they also seem very obsessed with the concept of virginity. They're also constantly making fun of people who are virgins in their 20s, into their 20s.
Yeah. Making fun of people who like haven't slept with more than one person.
Yeah, and of course that is also constantly talking about, oh my god, XYZ has only slept with 3 people, 4 people. To be honest, American sitcom gave me a really skewed idea of what the world is really like.
Yeah.
Because I thought if you haven't slept with 15 to 20 people, then you're not doing it right.
You and me both.
And of course that is not true. In real life, when you go out and you talk to people, you realize that that is not the case.
No.
It's just not the way that the world is, you know?
No. And yet it still leaves you with this feeling of, if you haven't slept with at least like 7 people or something by the time you hit your 30s, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, and when you watch these shows, right, there seems to be a revolving door of young, attractive people that the protagonists are sleeping with.
Yeah.
And the protagonists were sometimes, they're also depicted as being, oh yes, I was a dorky 20-year-old who was still a virgin, but at least I was not a virgin at 21. Or they would sometimes say something like, oh, you're going to be one of those losers who lose your virginity only at university.
Yeah.
And not at high school, you know? So I watched those shows, and because I think part of me was trying to escape from the reality of my society, of the society that I was living in, a place where my hours were, when I got home was monitored, who I was talking to was monitored, my day-to-day life was very strictly regimented. I escaped from that by imagining and living in this world where everybody was free to pursue the things that they wanted to do, right?
Whether they be sexual or not.
Yeah. A good part of it was sexual, but there was also other elements of it. There was no one telling them to get home by this particular time. They were out making mistakes, and those mistakes weren't costing them their physical well-being, their physical security.
Weren't defining their entire
it wasn't
the rest
defining
of their
their
lives.
whole, it wasn't defining their whole existence.
Yeah.
So, but of course, at the same time, there were quite a few toxic messages there.
Yeah.
For example, being a virgin too late in your life is very uncool, right?
It's the other extreme.
Yeah, it was another extreme. And so I decided that I was not going to be a 22-year-old virgin. As a woman, there's, multiple things that you have to think about. I wanted to have sex, but I also didn't want to have sex where, I was really worried that people would find out about it and talk about it with other people, my friends or whatever, and I didn't want to be labeled a slut or whatever. I didn't want it to come out to the public,
Yeah.
I didn't want a relationship as well. So there was a lot of things that I needed to think about. So serendipitously, I'm not going to disclose when my birthday is, but on my birthday month, right, as my 22nd birthday was fast approaching, a friend of mine texted me saying, this friend, by the way, was also a A-levels college friend. He went to university in India, right? And he texted me saying, oh, I've got a friend, my university friend, who's a good guy, who's coming to Nepal for his holiday, and he would like to smoke some Nepali weed, because Nepali weed has a good reputation in India.
Yeah.
Right? So he said he would like to smoke some Nepali weed, and the only friend I can think of who can help him with that is you. Could you please get him some Nepali weed? And also hang out with him, show him Nepal, if you're available.
Hook my friend up, basically.
Yeah, well...
You hooked him up with some more than just weed, I assume.
Yes, that's right. And I was like, this is a great opportunity for me. Because the guy was going to be in Nepal for I think 5 days.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is brilliant. This is exactly what I need. A random person who's going to show up. And now he has been vouched for by my friend who I trusted. I went to school with him. The guy is cool. He's been vouched by that guy. And I remember thinking, if he's half decent looking, I'm going to have sex with him. And this is before I even met him.
Was he more than half decent looking?
I will say he was decent looking.
Okay, it's better than expected.
So, yeah. So you can just imagine how foolish and dangerous that was. There's already the danger of me being in Nepal and doing that. If my parents found out, it would be terrible, right? And I was inexperienced as fuck.
Yeah.
I was planning on losing my virginity to a random guy I hadn't even seen.
Yeah.
Know nothing about.
Did you wear a condom?
Yes.
Okay,
but,
cool.
let me get to that story.
Okay.
Don't
sorry.
So, while all of that was happening, basically, I knew nothing about this guy, and I was fully intending on just when I meet him, just sort of if he seems okay, I'm gonna have sex with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I met him, And he seemed, like I said, he was decent looking, and he seemed fun to hang out with. And we had a few nice conversations, and I was like, all right, works. Another great thing about him was that he had a hotel room
Yeah.
where we could have sex. A big issue with young people in Nepal is finding a place to have sex.
Yeah.
It is a big quest. If you're in a relationship, or if you're in a sexual relationship with someone and you want to have sex, it's a huge struggle to find a space where you can do it, because you have to think about the fact that you can't have sex in your home because your parents live there, right? You could go to hotels, I suppose, but then you're students, you don't have a lot of money. And also for me, there was an added fact that my parents never allowed me to sleep over anywhere.
Yeah.
I was a 21, 22-year-old, not allowed to sleep over at friends' spaces. So I was like, okay, great, he's got a hotel room. I gave him all the signals, and I think it was on the second day of hanging out that we had sex.
Yeah.
So yeah. And thankfully,
Pretty
he
sweet.
had a condom. And he said to me later on that it was like a year-old condom that he just was carrying around just in case.
Yeah.
And it worked out for him, I suppose.
I remember I did that once, and when I went out clubbing, I was like, oh, just kick a condom with me just in case. It fell out of my pocket, and then all my flatmates laughed at me.
Oh no.
This was at university.
But better safe than sorry,
Yeah.
You never know. Anyway, one thing I will tell you. My first time was revelatory. It was brilliant.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was amazing. Well, it was two people who were both incredibly horny
Yeah.
and willing to explore and expand, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? And the guy that I had sex with, I'm going to call him the tourist. So the tourist said that he had had one sexual partner before.
Yeah.
His girlfriend, which was, he said, a year or so ago. And while they had had sex a couple of times, it was the first time, and he said that it was not very pleasant, because every time when they were having sex, she would close her eyes shut, lie stiff as a board, and just say, let's just get it over with.
Did she want to have sex?
It sounds like she didn't. At that time, I was judging her, but now I'm judging him.
Yeah, it sounds like she didn't want to have sex, and
And he was complaining about
you
the
might
fact
have
that
pressured
that's...
her into it or something.
Yeah. Yeah, now I'm like... Because at that time, I was like, what? Like, what a prude, right?
No,
Like,
what an idiot.
this is another example of how ingrained misogyny is, even
Yeah.
in women, right? Because I was like, oh, what a prude. But now I think about it, and I think she was clearly not ready.
It's like when you sort of grow up in a environment where one extreme is promoted, typically and you don't like it, typically your first thing is to go to the other extreme rather than
Yeah.
having a more nuanced view of these things.
Yeah.
So rather than be like, did she want to go? You were like, oh, what an idiot. You were still perpetuating misogyny, but just, with a different extreme.
Yeah, and I was so flattered because he was like, oh, you're so great, you're amazing. Also, I did not bleed. Now, some women, when they're having sex for the very first time, because their hymen breaks, their hymen is a part of their anatomy, which is in the cervix.
Yeah.
It's like a thin
Layer of skin.
Layer of skin. So for some women, it breaks and it causes bleeding.
Yeah.
For others, the hymen may have been broken in other things that they might have done. Like maybe they were really sporty. Maybe they did a lot of like bike riding or whatever.
Horse riding.
Horse riding.
Maybe the hymen just didn't have a lot of blood in it in the first place as well.
Basically
Different bodies
all
as well.
women have different anatomies. So I know women who bled, I know women who haven't. I'm one of those women who didn't,
Yeah.
right? And because I didn't, and also because I was such an enthusiastic sexual partner,
Yeah.
again, this person did not believe that I was a virgin
Yeah.
before that. He was like, oh, you don't have to lie, it's okay, I don't mind if you're not a virgin. And I was like,
So I'm okay with you not being a virgin. Don't worry
yeah.
about it.
And
I'm
I was
cool
like,
with
well,
it.
I was. And it's like, oh, but you seem to enjoy it so much. You seem to like it. And
Oh,
also
God.
you didn't bleed.
I remember reading about this a long time ago when I first learned about the hymen, and I heard in like some countries like it's a tradition on like the marriage day for the husband to check the hymen still exists, and if it doesn't, then there's like going to be some, I'm assuming, I think it said something along
Yeah,
the lines of
there's a whole industry in certain countries to have like hymen reconstruction surgeries
Jesus.
before marriage to make sure that that doesn't happen. That you can show blood, or like I mean I don't really know much about it obviously because that isn't the case in Nepal
Yeah.
as far as I know at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am aware of that being a thing in other countries.
Just the whole place where this whole idea of the hymen and virginity get tied up, and
Yeah.
It becomes this whole thing, and all nuance is just thrown out of the window
Yeah.
because there's so much meaning is tied up in it.
One thing I would say that I'm really happy about is that my first time was great. I really enjoyed it. He was decent company. In retrospect, when I think about him, I feel like I would be good friends with him, but I don't think I would have had a sexual relationship with him.
Yeah.
Just because he was cool, he was great to hang out with, but I don't think I really vibed beyond that, right?
Yeah.
It was just basically, I don't know, right place, right time, or wrong place, right time, I don't know.
Well, for this guy, it was definitely right place, right time.
Perhaps, you know. He said to me later on that this was the best holiday he's ever had.
Yeah, it would be for me as well. I'll be honest.
And I was like, brilliant.
If I was 20 and I went on a holiday and like I got introduced to this girl and she was like, hey, you want to shag? I would be like, yeah. Great.
Yeah. So that was the time that I had sex for the very first time.
I think it probably worked out as well because you both sort of had your awkward sex phase out of the way.
I suppose.
I've heard most of the time like the first time is always like weird and awkward and it's a bit strange, and I guess you both had that awkward thing just done and then you were just like, oh, we actually sort of know what we're doing now.
I guess, yes.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, yeah. So we are at the part of the podcast now, which was the end. We now know how I lost my virginity.
Finally.
Yes, finally lost my virginity before I turned 22. We're now at the part where we talk about weird things men have said about sex.
Okay.
So what I've got is just the tip, please.
Just the tip. I know this one so much.
Yeah.
Have
you ever said it, John?
No. Well, maybe in a joking way. I've said it as a joke. I've never said it like...
You've not said it...
I've never unironically been like, hey, can we have sex? No. Oh, can I just put the tip in? Like, that's the most... That's stupid. It's like, what the fuck do you think is going to happen once they put the tip in?
I've had people say it to me multiple times.
Yeah, I don't...
Men have said this to me multiple times. It's just a tip. It's just
it sounds very... Like, to me, I've never really felt like saying it because it sounds super fucking desperate, first off.
Yeah.
And, like, if someone says no, you just say, oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But like, yeah, it also just doesn't make any sense. Like, like you want to have sex. I mean, like if you put just the tip in, what do you think is going to happen? You can put just the tip in and something and like to immediately take it out. That you're basically going to get even more horny at that point.
Well, John, I think the problem is that you're taking the statement at face value.
Yeah, I know.
Right? When they say just the tip, they don't actually intend on just putting in the tip and that's it.
Yeah.
What they're hoping to do is like they'll put in the tip and then they'll be like, well, we're here now.
It's foot in the door
technique. As well. Yeah, this is a foot in the door technique.
My tip's already in, so I might as well just shove the whole rest of it in.
Yeah,
they might just like...
might as well just like...
They might, it might even give them an opening to just shove it in without even like getting your permission afterwards anyway.
Yeah.
Bit rapey.
That has happened to me.
Really? Fuck.
One guy asked, like, we were making out, but I was like, I don't want to have sex.
Yeah.
I'm happy with making out, but that's about it. And then he was like, please, just a tip, just a tip. I think the reason I didn't want to have sex was because he didn't have a condom.
Yeah.
Right? And I said, you don't have a condom, I don't have a condom either, and I don't want to have unprotected sex. So, we can make out. I'm enjoying this process, and I understand I'm horny as well.
Yeah.
But I don't want to have unprotected sex. And then he was like, just a tip, please, just a tip. I'm not going to come, I promise, just a tip.
I'm not going to come.
Yeah, I just want to put the tip in, that's it. And I was like, it wore me down. Now, as an older person,
yeah,
I would never agree to it.
Of course.
At that time, I was still young enough that I was like, oh, fine.
Yeah.
Unenthusiastic consent is not consent.
Yeah.
So he put in the tip, and then obviously he then just proceeded to have sex. And I was like, what do I do now? And I just didn't know what to do. So I decided, you know what, like, I guess might as well just let him finish. Let's just keep going.
Fucking asshole, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's rape. That's actual rape.
Yeah.
What a fucking dickhead.
Did not think of it as rape at that time because I was like, we were making out.
Oh yeah, that's
I
the thing.
was naked with him.
That's the thing that a lot of people will say in rape cases. They'll be like, "Well, you were making out. Well, clearly you wanted it because you were making out."
But
it's like, well, the second you said anything that amount like even inclined a yes, it's like that's a full yes.
Yeah.
It's again an extreme. There's no nuance to like I want to make out but not have penetrative sex. It's like you wanted to make out, you wanted to have sex. So therefore, if you got raped, it's not rape.
So yeah, and
ridiculous.
I remember feeling so unsure afterwards, because I was thinking, I don't know. I remember feeling like if I say, well, what the hell did you just do? Like I did not consent to it. He'd be like, don't make a. I don't know. I just felt like, oh,
he would have said something.
I would have been made out to be the weird one.
Yeah, he would have said something like, "Oh, you were kissing me," you were like, yada yada.
Yeah, well, even if he were to apologize, it would probably be more of a non-apology.
Yeah.
So with this guy, which is some random guy I was hooking up with, you
Yeah.
know, and after that, I just sort of like said, I think I just sort of like stopped talking to him, and he was very confused as to why I stopped talking to him. Like the next day or two, I was just like, I stopped talking, and he would text me and be like, "Oh, Dawa, what's up? Hey, you want to hang out again?" And I would ignore it. I would just ghost him.
I do think it's interesting that he didn't seem to understand why you were
Yeah.
why you would have been upset. That makes a lot of sense. I want to quickly, before we go too far, I would like to make this a thing that to talk about. If you, it doesn't have to be in sex, but especially in sex, if you are in a conversation or you're having sex with someone or something, and you feel uncertain, you feel like this feeling of like you want to feel you're feeling sort of sad or scared or anything, but then you're feeling a bit uncertain, you feel like a bit of a void, or if you come away from something and you feel that way, then don't ignore that feeling. That is a feeling you are having, and in a lot of ways it's a feeling you're just feeling conflicted over, or for some other reason you don't feel like you can have that feeling. Listen to that feeling and talk to someone about it if you can. It's very important that, these are the feelings we need to be in touch with the most when these things happen.
Yeah, and like 4 years after that, I would think, was I raped? Was that rape? I don't know.
You were.
And I think like the easiest thing for me to do was just like stop talking to the guy and block him, never see him again. And that was like, so this was after I'd moved to the UK.
Yeah.
Right? So it was just some random like online hookup guy I was hooking up with like a couple times or something like that. But yeah, I've also had a situation where some guy was like, "Oh, can I?" Like this time he did have a condom on, and we were having sex. This was in Nepal, and then at one point he said, "Can I have sex without a condom?"
Yeah.
And I said no, and he said, "Oh, just a tube."
Yeah.
And basically the same thing happened again.
What a prick.
Basically he was, and then I was stupid enough to be like, yeah, fine, because he was like, "Please, just a tube." And I promise I'm not gonna come inside you. I promise, So yeah, just a tip. Why don't you shove up that tip up your own bum?
I'll tell you where else you can put the fucking tip, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, a bit of a dark ending to this episode, I suppose. You guys have a lovely day ahead, and
I feel like we should try and make a joke to make some levity.
Yeah, let's add some levity to the rape revelation.
That's true.
Well, anyway, you guys have a lovely rest of the day, and don't let people put quote unquote get you by the whole like quote unquote just a tip thing.
Look up the foot in the door technique, the salesman technique. That's a very good thing to learn about.
All right.
Bye.
चिया पियौँ बात मार्यौँ आज हामी दुईले गफ गफ गर्यौँ